Good morning. TGIF, everybody. As I bang the camera as we get going here. Coffee crew rolling in. Happy Friday. Long weekend. Even better. I don't know how many people are going to be around on the coming up to a long weekend, but if you're tuning in live, awesome to have you here. It's Friday. We made it through the week. And if you're watching on the replay, we go live Monday to Friday most days. Monday to Friday, 8 o'clock. We go on for about half an hour, 45 minutes, sometimes longer if we get chatty. Talk about TFSAs, our investing, Wealthsimple, all sorts of stuff. Vacation has been a topic recently because it's summer, but there we go. As you're rolling in, don't forget, hit the like button if you're watching the replay live. Like button helps get the channel out. Channel's doing great. It's growing slowly but surely, just like my TFSA. So let's roll. Let's get rolling into it. We'll see. Good morning. It's good to have Candace back. Candace, first one here. Good morning. Coffee and donut this morning. Always good to have you here. Tuning in first. Good call. Candace, I've been posting the streams in the morning to give everybody a chance to come in first, as opposed to pushing it the night before. Good. And your joke, and because we didn't get a joke yesterday, I was been swamped with work, but we've got a joke. I'll read the rest of this because part of it got cut off. Mouse wanted to invest in the stock market, but he didn't have any cash, so he put down a wheel of cheese as collateral. That's one way to get a slice of the market. Those are terrible. That's a bad one. I think I would keep the cheese. I think I would keep the cheese. I would want to eat the cheese. I do like cheese. And Stan, happy Friday. Good to have you here. Always good. Coffee in hand. MC, good to have you here as well. Always tuning in. Great to have you here. I thought I didn't see you right at the beginning, MC. I thought for sure you were taking a long weekend or something like that, but good to have you here. It'll be a light live stream. We'll have some just banter today. Didn't have too much to pull up on news, so if anybody does have anything that in particular they do want to pick up or talk about, let us know in the comments. It's always good. Keep the conversation going. The stream's all about everybody, not just me. So if you have something that's on your mind, don't be afraid to ask. And if you're tuning in for the first time, it's a good crew of people here, Canadians, I would say, and good group to answer some investment questions if you have one. So don't be afraid if you're new, at least to say hi. And Dank Magic, happy Friday, good to have you here. And yeah, cheese is good. Cheese is definitely good, Candace. It's expensive though. It's always been expensive, but I think even now recently it's even more so with inflation. Won't get started on that. So cheese is good. I should do a let's do a poll here. Do you like cheese? There we go. Yeah, U.S. Reserve quietly and slowly adding oil in hopes of not driving prices up. I read an article this morning, Candace, on Yahoo Finance. I forget who it was. I forget who it was from. Analyst predicting gas or oil to hit $100 this summer. Price of oil, who knows? Just with some obviously demand. I think they were saying demand from China, and obviously going into the summer season, it always seems to go up in summer. Everybody starts to drive a bit more, I guess, and gas seems to always be up in the summer. Going in, especially here, like kind of going into a long weekend, you sometimes see prices are up. I don't drive a ton, so I only see it I only pay attention when I'm filling up. And the gas it's $1. What is it here? Last time I filled up was $1.73 a liter. So let me know where you are, what it is, if you know what it is. So yeah, it always seems to be a bit more expensive on the west coast here, but on the island, obviously cheaper than some other places. Like the lower mainland of Vancouver is more expensive as well. So wildfires, yeah, there's that as well. Wildfires in Canada, yeah, out in Alberta, more likely impacting production. So we could see that. We could see some prices. So maybe there's some opportunity there. I don't know. I know you're out of the day trading game, Candace. But what was that? There was that ETF you liked. I forget what it was. You have to mention it. The oil ETF might be something to look at. I've had my eye on adding more oil to my portfolio for such a long time. It might be a good time to kind of maybe get some and then see if it does actually hit $100, sell it when it's up, wishful thinking. We'll have to see. Speaking of the wildfires, though, we're supposed to probably get a bit of the smoke hitting the West Coast, I heard now. So we'll have to see how the weekend goes. So far, so good. It's still kind of clear. That was the one, XEG. That's on my. It's actually on my watch list on Wealthsimple as well, but I haven't got any of that. Yeah, and maybe we'll see. We'll have. It would be nice to have. That would be nice for, I think, for if you own Tesla. That would be nice. This whole autonomous thing is really interesting. It's pretty amazing when you think about it. It's probably. It's hard to know how quickly this thing will come out. And in terms of taxis and that kind of thing, that would be an interesting progress with what happens with that down the road. But maybe we won't need to care about gas prices. That's right, MC. We might not even pay attention. We'll be paying attention to hydro prices for stuff like that. It'd be interesting to see. I actually don't know. It's funny. I've never actually looked at how much, like you see the charging stations everywhere. There's even 2 charging stations in my apartment where they've built in the parking lot for people if they want to charge. But I've never actually looked at how much it actually costs to if you're to swipe your credit card on there, and how much it actually would cost to like technically like fill up a electric vehicle. I'm going to assume it's cheaper than buying fuel, but I've never actually looked on what the actual like cost would be. So if anybody has an electric car, let me know what it kind of touches on. I know also too, like some places in the States, I know with Tesla in Texas, they're going to be introducing like a flat fee charging for overnight. So when the grid isn't as doesn't need as much, there's not as much demand, charging stuff overnight a lot cheaper with that kind of stuff. So interesting for sure. We'll have to see. There was an interesting comment MC on the Investor Day when there was question and answers from the stockholders and that, and somebody asked a question about changing the GPS driving, like the directions when you punch in the driving directions and it shows you everything. And it was asking about, like, I guess some car manufacturers, when you're going to certain exits in certain areas, and you're actually going towards the exit, it will pop up and show like an actual picture of what the exit looks like. My car has it pops up as an exit, doesn't have a picture or anything like that, like more of a live view. And the answer to the question was really interesting actually. And it was like, because this person said, why can't we get more advanced, GPS navigation with pictures and all that kind of stuff? And Elon Musk's answer was, when the car is going to be autonomous, it's not going to matter. So kind of interesting on things that they're actually looking at, and parts of the car they're not necessarily advancing more than the others. So I found that that one part kind of interesting. And Candace has started to swing a few oil stocks. There you go. Yeah, you're a swing trader now. That's okay. Less stress, maybe. It's still stressful, but maybe a bit less. You can not have to stress all day. Interview with David Faber. He talks about autonomous. I will hold on. I'll bookmark that. David Faber. And that's the one. Okay, yeah, I haven't watched that one yet. I will. That's actually MC. It's still on my list. It's still on my watch. It's still on my watch list. I will get to it this weekend. It's a long weekend, so I will have some extra time. I won't be working on Monday, so I'll have some time to kind of catch up on a lot of these things. Usually by the end of the day, I'm just beat, and I start a podcast, and I by the time I get onto it, I'm dozing, and typically I usually kind of listen before I go to bed, and I inevitably fall asleep and wake up because I have the headphones on, and it's like an ad playing after the podcast that wakes me up, and I turn over and go back to bed to listen to this stuff. And so you have EV chargers in your condo garage. You can get a charger installed in your spot. There's a meter that comes with it to tap a function to pay. Yeah, okay, I should look and actually see on I'll go next time I'm outside on mine. I'll look and see if it actually has the prices. It'd be interesting to see how much it costs. And I know from some new construction stuff that I see through work that one of the options on a lot of new condo developments are actually to add an built-in EV charger to the unit, whether it's a townhouse or an apartment, to actually get it into your spot. And I think that in part of the development, I think the developers now have to put a certain number in certain spots. I think that's partly why, out where I am, even though it's all rentals here, but it's a new building, it's less than a year old. They probably have to I think they have to put a certain amount just from the city asking them to do it. There's actually lots of chargers around where I am. There's a couple by City Hall. There's a couple of most of them. All the strip malls typically have one or two that are there. So no shortage of EV spots, that's for sure. And it's kind of neat to see one right in the parking lot. I haven't seen anybody use it yet. I don't know if there's actually any. I think there's some hybrids I've seen, but I haven't seen any people plug into it yet. But that might change now that it's there. Yeah, good. Candace, I actually didn't see that comment, but there you go. Yeah, no offense taken. I didn't see that. Um, uh, was that your comment, or was that somebody leaving a comment? I didn't see a spam one, Candace. But anyways, yeah, no worries. Let's see and then we can see the results from the poll. So there we go. 100% of people like cheese. There, it's a silly poll for the day. Oh, that was your comment. Sorry. Now I'm getting it. Okay. Now I'm sorry. Now I'm getting it. In your stream. I need more coffee. Yeah, that's what I just got. Yeah, sorry. Delayed in my head. I've been fortunate enough, knock on wood, Candace, that I haven't been any I haven't been the comment spam junk seems to come in waves, and I'm in the spot now, knock on wood, where I'm not getting bothered by a lot of the spam stuff. You just try and block as many as people as you can as they come through, and hopefully they just don't come back. So it's just kind of a pain, because you go through a good time when you get good comments from everybody, and then all of a sudden there's just dummies in there. So yeah, I think for like resale and stuff like that, right? Probably wouldn't be a bad idea. I think if I was building something or buying something new, I would try and probably get that in there just in case. Might be good for even resale, at least to say it's on there. I'm sure even like uh, single family houses are probably adding them too, to get built into the garage with the right power, so they can charge faster. Yeah, plan for the future. Probably doesn't hurt. And you'll get one when the technology might be evolved. Yeah, I think it's coming though. I mean, there is the superchargers. I know the Hyundai cars charge quite quickly as well with their new kind of batteries and everything else. It's uh, yeah, it's definitely advancing. I mean, if you think about it, even from a short time ago, right? It definitely seems to keep getting better and better. My next car will probably be an EV. I'm sure. I'm not getting rid of my car anytime soon. I've still got probably another minimum five or. I mean, I would love a new car, but I don't want the payment of a new car, and mine's fine, and I don't use it. I mean, I don't drive that a ton. I said it before. I mean, so I probably have a good 5 or 6 year if I keep it, keep the maintenance up, and barring any accident or something like that. Probably got a good 5 or 6 years left at least with it. So pretty fine with that. And it'd be nice to have something a little bit bigger, but I don't need something bigger enough to make me want to go out and buy a new car. It's really nice not to have a car payment. It's the first time in a long time I haven't had a car payment, and it's just nice. It's nice. I mean, my car payment wasn't huge by any means. It was only it was like a couple $100 every 2 weeks. I mean, still it adds up, right? But you see some big car payments like $1,000 a month and stuff like that. I was nowhere near that, but it's nice not to even have that couple $100, and because you can just put it into your TFSA or RSP, or use it for everything else that's more expensive. It seems like that. So yeah, Candice, I've been now that we're talking about it and I've said it, I'll get bombarded. I've been really fortunate. It's been a good group. it's been a good group of people. The coffee crew that comes in, always respectful, and haven't had any issues. Maybe one or two at the most, unless I'm not seeing them for some reason through my chat. I think Google, YouTube does a pretty good job at kind of nipping them before they come through. So they must have done something on the back end side for the algorithms, because it's been great. You get the odd ones every once in a while on the videos, but been pretty good. The one thing about videos, if people are leaving comments, and this is for everybody, don't leave. Well, this is what happens sometimes. I find stuff gets flagged as spam, because if you're typing out a ticker symbol and put say for example BEP, like BEP.UN, if you type in that with the .UN or any of the other stocks with that dot and then the other letters, it will usually flag it as spam and won't get it through to the YouTuber, because it thinks it's a website or something like that. So that does happen from time to time, but at least not any bad. Oh, interesting. Okay, so probably won't get an EV. Yeah, you're not bullish on longevity of EVs. I prefer the most analog car possible. It's something to be said about an analog car. It really is. All this new tech in cars are making them limited in shelf life. Not a fan personally. It's almost like they're making them like computers, right? And you literally, you get a computer. I mean, depends on the ones you buy, but a lot of times you're buying one and you're kind of getting rid of it after 3 or 4 years a lot of times. I mean, my Macs, I seem to last a bit longer, I find. But like, if you think of it like an iPhone or iPad or something like that, like there's always the new things. The costs keep coming down. It's almost like a technology, and they get cheaper and cheaper, and it's almost like you're getting it and then getting rid of it after X number of years. But that kind of goes, MC, that does kind of go for a lot of people and how they treat regular cars as well. Leasing and getting a new car every 4 years, rolling into new loans with a new car, maybe a little bit too much. But we'll have to see. I think, yeah, the shelf life, it's, I guess, it's still in the early stages. We'll see. I think it's kind of inevitable whether we like it or not. But it is, like, back to that saying, analog car possible. I'm going to date myself here, but when I learned to drive, I learned to drive on a 1970, what year was it? 1975 Plymouth Duster. And if you're in your 40s, you'll know kind of that car. And it was actually my grandma's car, and I wish we still had it. I think my dad sold it for like $500 or something like that at the time, but I got to drive it. I learned to drive, and it had nothing. Like, it was like nothing was power. It did have power steering. The power steering was like overly power steering, but it didn't have power brakes. It was just a regular engine. It had wind up windows and regular door locks, and it was just as analog almost as you could get. But it was interesting to drive on a car, learn to drive on a car without power brakes, because when you first get into a car that doesn't have power brakes, there's a big difference there. and it you put yourself up into your seatbelt pretty quickly when you push on the brakes coming from learning on a car when you're 16 with no power brakes to a car that has power brakes is a bit of an adjustment. But it was fun. I kind of wish I still had it. It had really, really low kilometers at the time. It always started, and it was it was a big car, but it was good. It was good to drive. Got me from A to B and always started. Just had no problems. And you could fix everything on them too. It's if something broke, you could literally just go buy the part and kind of do it yourself. I took shop in school, and you could just take it in and fix it. You could do the brakes yourself. You could change the oil if you really wanted to. If anything, like, I remember the heating broke, and you could get up inside and fix everything, the hoses and all that kind of stuff. So it's just interesting. Different times, that's for sure. Now everything's like, it's almost like plug and play. If you open up the hood of a car now, you just don't know what the heck anything is to actually fix it. Yeah, I want my, yeah, I love to have my car. It's a 26, mine's a 2016. I'll have it for another 5 or 6 years minimum, as long as everything keeps working on it. And it's been good so far. So just have to keep the oil changed and change the tires. Have to change the brakes eventually, probably next year. But it's just nice to, the opportunity cost on cars. Yeah, it's just nice to be able to put that extra money into something else that's hopefully making some money in the market. And Trevor, good to have you here. Hi, good to have you here. Don't like scary when burning. Yeah, yeah, that's the one. That's the one thing too with batteries. If they catch on fire, yeah, yeah. You don't want any kind of thing on fire, even if it's a regular car. Yeah, it's true. It's non-EVs. There's tons of chips and everything else. More pieces that can go wrong. I had the new dashboards. Yeah, like the new. I haven't seen the new RAV4, but it's all digital. Yeah, if something breaks, there's just so many things that can glitch out. Right? Is kind of I think on it. I don't even use like it's. I mean, I have a little GPS. Like I have the screen on mine. It's a little one. It's not like the giant whole dashboards. Mazdas don't have them, but it's it's got the screen, and it's literally I never use the GPS really for it, unless I really am going somewhere that I don't really know where I'm going. Most of the times I actually just pull it up on my phone and kind of prop my phone up to look at the phone, because Google Maps seems to work better than the one they built in. I could get like Google CarPlay on the upgrade on my car, but it's just like why spend the money either, because I barely use it, and it's just like you just literally listen to like use it for the radio, because the radio controls are kind of on there to move around the little knob. But I can see that with all these things that go wrong. There's always like, I've got a friend that has, he's got I think it's a, I think it's a Mercedes. I could be wrong, but he's got an SUV, and he's had nothing. It's leased, so I mean at least that's a good thing, because he leases it for work. But it's got nothing but problems. There's always something going wrong with it, whether it's engine or some kind of electrical problem. Like there's just always something going wrong, and it's just like I'm just happily putting around in my little car. Gives me kind of no problems, and it's yeah, it's like literally everything is digital, right? But on like yeah, the some of these new cars with the screens, like literally the whole dash is. I watch YouTube videos on cars. Like literally the whole dash is a LCD screen, or LED, whatever it is, OLED or whatever they call it. Entire thing. Yeah, you just kind of worry. Like it's almost like, I mean, I've had a problem with my car where the battery, I left the light on inside and the battery dies, and I could only imagine like all the other problems, like something goes wrong and having to get that thing fixed, or just kind of a definitely kind of a pain. And so there's something to be said maybe about analog cars, but they're going away, right? More and more electronic stuff. Like even if you go to take your car into for maintenance and stuff like that. Like there, a lot of the stuff that even in cars that aren't super techy, it's almost like plug and play sections of parts. You just can't replace one part. You got to replace the whole section of this stuff. So it gets more expensive. It's sign of the times, I guess. But no new car for me, not for a while. That's for sure. Not for sure. Yeah, that's the thing too. You see some of these ones. Like I watch the YouTube channel Doug DeMuro, and he does the car reviews, shows all the little features and stuff all the car. I kind of enjoy those videos, and a lot of the stuff, like you have to go into all the menus to actually change something. And like, for example, I have heated seats, and if I turn on the heated seats, there's a button. You just push the button. If you want to turn the heat up, you just turn the heat up. And all the new ones, you have to like push and move stuff around and get everything else, and it can be distracting. Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's the thing. You can't really, you got to dive into menus to actually get anything accomplished, which is kind of annoying, to have sometimes, I guess, no buttons. I guess the idea behind that is to build in these all digital and have, for example, different profiles, right? So if you're going into the car and it knows it's you driving. You have everything set up a certain way how you like it, and you 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 keep those settings, and it knows what to do. Yeah, but it's true. You have to kind of play around too much in these computers. And then if the screen goes, I don't know. I always worry, like, what if the screen goes? You can't. I don't know. You can't do anything. You can't turn the heat up or down, because nothing works. And again, it comes down to longevity, right? What's going to happen if there's too much tech in it? What's it going to be like in hopefully 20 years when you still have that car? Is it still going to work, or is there going to be glitches and it's going to be problems? I could probably see more problems than not. But and yeah, the knobs are better. That is for sure. I mean, my car's fairly basic in that regards. It's got the volume button for the radio and the knob for changing the station, and it's got the buttons for the heat and all that kind of stuff. Heated seats. The one thing I do wish I had is a heated steering wheel. That's the only thing in my car I wish I had. That's the best it sounds silly, but it's actually the best feature. I had a car before that had a heated steering wheel, and it was the best thing ever. I didn't realize how much I'd missed that until I didn't have it. But you get used to it. But if your car's parked outside and it's a cold winter day, it's kind of nice to put on that heated steering wheel. But that's all right. Yeah, there is some ones with, like, mine's got. Does mine have on the seats? No, it doesn't. No, not this car. I have had that before. I have like two profiles that you could actually go into. Yeah. Beige Corolla. I get it. It's opportunity cost. Yeah, the beige Corolla mentality. It's popular. If you go to Reddit, the Toyota Corolla mentality is in full force, in there. And yeah, heated seats are the way to go, Candace. I agree with that one. I wouldn't buy a car anymore without heated seats. I haven't had one ever with cooled seats. I've been in cars with cooled seats, but the heated seats are the best. Yeah, yeah. I won't give those up. That's for sure. My want list would be a heated steering wheel, but we're so spoiled. That's for sure. Looking back to, like, the car I learned on, right? It had nothing. I don't think the seat even reclined. It was like a bucket seat, and it just kind of, you got in and you could move the whole thing up or back, and that was it. Forward or back. And there was no heated seats. There was no air conditioning. There was no power windows. There was no auto climate control. It was like a slider switch that you literally slid the switch back and forth, and that was it. It's it's this old that had that little button by your feet to turn the lights, for the high beams down on your footwell. That's how old that car was. Holy. If you get, yeah, it's true. There can be ruthless on Reddit. Yeah, for sure. If you buy anything more than a beige Corolla, you get roasted. A used one, even better. Exactly. Yeah, a used Toyota Corolla, and you won't be laughed at. You can be guaranteed that if you see anybody that's driving down the street in an old beige Corolla, has a fortune has a fortune in their bank account. Yeah, it's funny. My friend his wife is a financial advisor, and that's always the joke she makes as well. We joke about it, but it's actually true, because when the people that show up at her office that drive up in the old, I don't want to say beaters. Beaters is the wrong word, but the old beige Corollas that pull up in the parking lot, they're the ones with the biggest portfolios. And you'd never know from it, driving these old cars that are minimum 10 years old, but smart. And it's also being consistent. Like, I'm trying extra hard, because you're used to having that car payment come off. All of a sudden, you have to make sure you got to redirect it, and use that as opportunity, because if you don't, it kind of starts to go in different places, and you spend it other ways. If you're not taking it off the top like you used to do. So it's yeah, beige Corolla. Maybe my next car will be a beige Corolla. I don't know. I have no idea. Haven't even thought. The Millionaire Next Door. Yeah, I've heard of that one. Yeah, yeah. Well, car payments are MC. Car payments are crazy, even for an inexpensive car. I mean, I bought mine 6 years ago, and it was a cheap. I mean, in the big picture, cheap, and it's like the prices of some of the, like, you see the, I'll go online and price them out for a truck or something like that, and you look at the price, or a Tesla, and you look at the price and you got it all worked in, and you're just like, I don't need a car that bad. I don't need a car that bad. I don't really want that. I don't really want that payment. I'd rather put that same payment into the S&P or something like that than yeah. Wealth is what you don't see. Good quote. Yeah, it's true. It's true. Yeah, I'm just happily driving my old. It's not even that old. It's fine. My mom's even doing better. She's got a 2000. What year is her car? 2008? 2008 or 2000? I think it's a 2008. Maybe it's a 2006. Nissan. She's got an old Nissan. Yeah. Yeah, she's got an old Nissan that my dad used to drive for work. But he doesn't obviously drive anymore, but she's still got it. She doesn't drive much. Lady driven. And she's had it for years and years. Still runs fine. It kind of makes a bit of a knock when you turn it in one direction, but it's all right. Gets her from A to B for how much she drives. I never had a car payment refused just by a cheap, reliable old Toyota. Yeah, it's true. It would be nice. That's the thing. If you look at a car, and I mean, you can't get my car was 30 something thousand at the time, and you almost wouldn't buy it if you paid cash, because you would look at that $30,000 in your bank, like let's just say 30 grand for, this is 6 years ago, but I mean, so now we're talking $40,000 for a new car. If you had that $40,000 in the bank, you probably wouldn't spend it all on a car. But meanwhile, people will go and put zero down on a brand new car and pay $1,000 a month without even questioning it, and it's because it's just weird that way. I kind of see that. So never had a car payment. That's good. Just buy a cheap old reliable Toyota. It's true. It's true. Yeah, it is nice to have a reliable car. I'll give you that. And it gets you from point A to point B. Because if you break it down, a new car payment, what, $800 a month or something like that. So true. It is only useful on assets that go up in value. Yeah, investments. It's true. But in that case, even today, they'll be careful with your. I mean, I know I've seen some videos on stuff people doing, like what's that popular one with using the line of credit for buying investments, is like the Smith maneuver. And it's like great when the market's going up and interest rates on your line of credit were 2%, 3%, but now that the interest rates on a line of credit are like 7 or more, not so great. So maybe don't borrow for stuff. Yeah. They definitely are, unless it's like some kind of collector or something like that for certain things. I think if I won the lottery, MC, I would actually probably have a lot of cars. But at least a few. But like stupid cars that you just want to look at. And I'm not a huge car person, but there's a few I would definitely. I shouldn't say a few. There'd be a couple that I'd have my eye on that I would probably spend as maybe to try and invest in some vehicles, older cars, yeah, and fun cars. But if you can't afford it, I not even on the radar. I would have to literally win the lottery, and that's just a fantasy. I never buy even lottery tickets, so it's never going to happen. Yeah, never use more leverage than necessary. No Smith maneuver, no investing on leverage, etc. Mortgage debt, and that's it. Yeah, I think you see the stuff on the Smith maneuver. I mean, you see that, and it's just, I don't know. You'd rather, yeah, it is it comes up to your next comment. Yeah, you'd rather lose money that you own, not the money you borrowed. And especially when you're doing something like that, and it's on I mean, obviously the whole idea is you can write off the interest costs with your taxes and everything else. But it's like, if you're still losing money, you're losing money. And you're securing your property that's maybe where you live. So it's a owner, you live there, and you're putting that on the line is kind of, you just work. People don't necessarily think of the different implications of that. Borrowing to invest, and what happens if it's tied to your mortgage and you lose your job, and then all of a sudden you've got a bigger line of credit payment to make, and the investments are down. And if you sell, you're taking a loss. It's not for everybody. That's for sure. The ideas, the ideas work great and work great in bull markets, like easy money, printing money, right? You could literally put in 2021, 2020 and 2021, you could literally put anything in anything, and you'd make money. And then what happens is 2022, and you realize that it's not that easy. So that's the thing. So back to being boring and dollar cost averaging and sticking with the plan, and just kind of carrying on with the same stuff. Yeah, scary. I mean, I'm in that business, right, with lending, and it's like you see some of the. I mean, even if you see what people make, it's fine. You could say it works, and the numbers make sense, and it's like I still wouldn't want that much of a mortgage, and I wouldn't sleep at night having a line of credit, even if it's not huge, it would be something, and invested in the market, and having that balance on a line of credit, I wouldn't be able to sleep at night. No, that's just me personally. But meanwhile, if it's money I have, I'll buy something like Bitcoin, but it's money that I'm not having to pay back. It's money I have, and money, it's not borrowed, not essentially leverage, right? Can be pretty scary. So not for me. I'm definitely not a smart enough investor to want to do it. So it's safer to not borrow on things. Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, when I had my place too, MC, my mortgage was quite small as well at the time. It was reasonable, right? But you still don't like it. Pay it every month. You'd want to try and get that paid off. I don't know. I couldn't imagine taking, you see people $1 million plus mortgages, for the next 30 years. It's crazy. Yeah. So it's really low loan to value. Yeah. 10%. I mean, that's kind of not almost, I don't want to say nothing. It's not nothing, but that's very low. A lot of people, obviously are higher, a lot higher than that. And especially the people that have, the thing with variable rates, right? We've talked about it with those static payments on variable rates. Like, they're just literally paying interest only on their big mortgage, and there's going to be a bit of a wake up reckoning, I think, when everything kind of comes up for renewal. That's going to be an interesting time in the next couple of years for stuff. I think it's next year and the year after, roughly 55% of mortgage. I'd have to pull the actual number, but I think it's within the next 2 years. The next 55% of mortgages in Canada are actually up for renewal. There was a big bump in terms of new originations, and it's anybody that's literally anybody that's renewing their mortgage today and going forward is going to pay more interest, sometimes up to double the interest rate that they had before, just depending, what product they had and what the timing was that they got the original one. Yeah. So, yeah, that's the thing. I mean, that was before though, right? When you had a we had low rates, you wouldn't try and accelerate it. It was like free money essentially. And same with a line of credit. So you take it on the Smith maneuver and you invest it in the market, or you invested in take your line of credit and invest it in buy a rental property. And all of a sudden, your interest costs go up, but your rents haven't gone up, and if your investments haven't gone up, it's pretty scary. Yeah, I read the headlines. I didn't watch the speech, MC, but I did see that the housing debt it definitely is a major concern for the Bank of Canada. Yeah, I think I was talking it with a friend yesterday. We were messaging towards the end of the day, and we were talking about this. Actually, same thing. We were kind of like predictions on, because the rate announcement from Bank of Canada is coming up next month, and signs are kind of pointing to probably still a pause. But we did have that high CPI from the month before. But I think, like, my prediction, we're kind of thinking, is they're going to wait this out, see if that was a bit of a just a bump anomaly, and if it's going to still keep kind of trending downward after you get the May CPI numbers. We'll have to see. But housing debt is a concern for sure, because it's not just. I mean, I think that the one thing that's really saved a lot of people has been the fact that variable rate payments are static, and their payments haven't reflected the actual interest costs of it for a lot of people. There's going to be some reckoning when that comes up for renewal. I've seen amortizations at banks with people with variable rates. I've seen them at 97 years, just the way it works out with payment versus what the actual interest costs are. 97 years it would cost if they're making the same payment to pay off the house. So that's probably on the outlier a bit high, but there's other ones that are like 74 years, 50 years, 60 years. Like the bank, if you read the bank financial reports, they cap it out and say mortgages over 30 years. It's substantially more than 30 years if you actually look at your actual people's actual amortizations. Pretty scary. So it is a concern. Yeah, I would say definitely a concern on that. So we'll have to see what happens. I don't think they're going to raise rates on that, but could be wrong. It's just, yeah, it is literally, yeah, it's possibly we'll go through some type of house bailing out. There's only so much patchwork and kicking the can down the road, yeah, that you can be done. And that's what's happening, right? The can, if you're in a variable like that, the can is, you're just literally kicking the can down the road with hopes that rates will come down. But I don't see rates coming down. If rates come down, inflation's going to, it's probably skyrocket back up. But there could be some options. I think we might see. I don't know. I really don't know, MC, but maybe some things, extended amortizations and certain. They're doing it already, right? Extended amortizations are happening, so people haven't had to hit that trigger and the point to, they're making exceptions for people. But if coming up for renewal and your mortgage amortization is skyrocketed, you have to bring that amortization back down to the maximum is 30 years. So I could see maybe we see some changes with amortizations down the road for renewals, that kind of stuff, possibly. Yeah, I really don't know. It's kind of like speculation. This is the problem too. Everything kind of takes so long to actually get worked in and actually figured out, because it's patchwork, and it's also the government, and it takes forever for them to actually, make any changes. But we'll have to see. I'm sure a person taking a 30-year term on an 800 plus loan has no intention to pay it off ever. So that assumes they plan to sell later on. This is the thing. You would possibly, they're thinking selling. Canadian real estate is bonkers. Selling it for a profit and then moving somewhere else, moving up, but taking on another loan. You don't see people paying off. It's hard to pay that amount off. This is the thing. When and then couple that with people typically kind of refinance every 3 and a bit years a lot of times, or they'll sell or move. Like, it's like people in Canada move a lot. Or do things with their mortgage quite a bit. And so, for example, you buy, say you're buying a house, and we see it all the time. You buy a house and your mortgage is you start off at 500,000, and then 3 years later you refinance to do renovations, and now it's 600,000, and then 10 years down the road, your original purchase price of your house was 800,000, but you all of a sudden owe 800,000 now. You just don't get ahead on that one. So. Yeah, it's true. There's definitely a problem. Immigration is yeah, that's the thing. Resident, if you're a resident, but I think new immigrants are having a hard time too as well, because the prices are so expensive. And if you're a resident, like a younger person, 20-year-old who grew up here, if they will ever buy, probably not. We definitely need more housing. We definitely need that. We need to have it so it's easier for people to. It's easier. There's less like red tape with everything in terms of getting stuff built with permits, and just everything takes forever. Taxes, and they need to figure that out. It's it's definitely tough. You just can't necessarily get ahead. It was always expensive, right? Housing is always expensive, but it seems really out of touch now, especially when you look at other places in the world. Yeah. So I could see younger people, obviously now with remote work and that kind of stuff, looking at different countries, with some opportunity to buy, because if they wanted to buy because it's cheaper, or even rents cheaper in other countries, if you work remotely. Like I know there's where is it? It's El Salvador has a remote, like, digital nomad visa, and I think you can stay there for 2 or 3 years, and you can apply for residency and that kind of stuff. But it's fairly simple to get, different things like that. So maybe people will see that. We might see more people moving around, people leaving Canada. Yeah. Yeah, that does happen as well. People have actually bought stuff as rental properties for kids to rent them out. The hard part is a lot of times, like, they'll do that and get something near maybe a school or something like that, a university, thinking that they're going to go to university. But it's hard though when the kids are old enough to move out. Are they actually going to want to live there? It's hard to know, right? It's really hard to know. It's definitely really, it's definitely really shifting people's, where people are living, that kind of stuff. So I have to know. Yeah, that's exactly it. It's the income. The wages don't support it. It's crazy. It's crazy. You have to move kind of farther away, but we're seeing that too, right? We do see a lot more people move to suburbs, but also in BC, like northern BC, Alberta has always that boom and bust. A lot of people, so Alberta is quite popular now. I read somewhere that rents in Alberta are up like 42% over the last year. But Alberta is always kind of boom and bust like that. Give it 2 years, and they'll be starving for people to go there and rent. It's hard. That's the hard part. But people are definitely moving to Alberta because it's cheaper in relative sense to the rest of Canada, especially Toronto and Vancouver. I have a couple people I know that have moved to buy houses in Edmonton or near Calgary, that kind of thing, just because it's cheaper, So yeah, there we go. Always good. These are always good conversations. Coming up to almost 10 too, so we've been chatting away. It's all good. I really appreciate it. It is. It's a long weekend, I guess. So hopefully everybody has a long weekend. What you're planning to do? For me, I'm just gonna kind of hang around here. It looks like it's going to be sunny, so that's awesome. So hopefully it is wherever you are. Hopefully it's not too smoky if you're in that parts where the forest fires are. But good to have everybody. Thanks for tuning in on Friday, and we'll be back next week for the next live streams as always. And it's always fun. So thanks everybody. On your way out though, don't forget, hit the like button if you haven't. I've got 12 people watching, so it's awesome. All the people that tune in, always good to have everybody. And we will catch you all in the next live stream. Take care, everybody.